Hey, what's up movers? Kellen from Movement Parallels Life here, back with some more movement goodness for your quarantine. I hope that you are staying safe, staying healthy, and staying active and on your fitness. This video is gonna help. I've got another 30 for 30 workout for us today. To be more exact, it's 35 movements. It's gonna take about 40 minutes, no equipment necessary, just some open, comfortable floor space and your body. We'll switch up the movements every minute or so, and you're gonna get a blend of mobility, strength, conditioning, and skill. Some of these movements are very basic. They're going to be very easy for you. Others are going to be more challenging. I'll guide you through. I'll give you some helpful cues, and you make any modifications that you need to make these movements work for you, and keep practicing. If you enjoy this workout and all the other free content on this channel, please hit that like button, subscribe, and share with your friends and family. For more in-depth practices and full training programs, check out my training app on Playbook. You're gonna love it. The link is down below. All right, that's it for my intro. Now, without further delay, let's get to the practice.
We'll start off with a side bend sit swivel to split kneel. Start off in your side bend sit position, sit tall, and post your arms behind you for extra support if necessary. Keep your feet in contact with the ground and rotate your hips from side to side. Press your lower legs into the ground and drive your hips forward to rise up into a split kneel position. Return to your side bend sit with control, swivel your hips, and repeat. Next, we've got to rock up to a bend sit position with reaching. Maintain a rounded spine and braced core as you rock back and up to a bent sit position. Open your knees and use your core and hip flexors to stabilize yourself. Reach forward and overhead, extending into the stretch. Add variation by rotating and reaching at different angles. Rock up one last time and we'll move on to long sit and cross sit reaches. Start in a straddle long sit position. Sit tall and lean forward from your hips, reaching out to the right, left, and middle. Draw your legs into a cross sit, fold forward, reach and rotate, switch your cross and repeat. Next, post your arms behind you and transition into an inverted position for shifting and lifting. Keep your arms locked out, shoulders externally rotated, and your chest open. Shift your body weight forwards, backwards, side to side, and in circles while maintaining your shoulder stability. Lift and lower your hips, pressing them to the sky and then swinging them back between your arms. Now lie back in a supine position with bent legs. We're going to go through bridge marching and reaching. Elevate your hips into a bridge. Draw one knee in towards your chest without letting the opposite hip drop. Perform an alternating march 8 to 10 times. Then plant your feet, but keep your hips lifted as you reach diagonally across your body, alternating sides for 8 to 10 reps. Lower your hips, but stay in your supine position. Next, we've got the figure 4 rock up to reach. Rock up with figure 4 legs to transition into a half kneeling position. Keep a long spine with shoulders back and extend into a reach. Find the mobility through your hips and ankles. Explore different stretches by reaching out at different angles. Rock up one last time and then set up a kneeling position. Step one leg forward to a half kneeling position. Shift your weight forward to mobilize your hips and ankles and stretch your back leg. Add variation by stepping out at different angles, reaching, rotating, or folding forward. Next, we'll move through spinal waves. Plant your hands in front of you, transitioning into a knee-hand position. Begin by flexing and extending your spine. Then create a rolling wave as you sit back and shift forward, opening into a prone back bend. Move mindfully and sync your breathing with your movement. Now we'll move into crawl pass under transitions. Stabilize yourself in a foot-hand crawl position. Keep your spine long, hips and head at the same level, and your arms locked out. Pick up your opposite hand and foot. Rotate towards the lifted hand and pass your leg underneath your body. Transition to the inverted position and back or alternate sides. Add variation with changes in tempo, shoulder pulses, or jumping transitions. We'll move on to a combo movement, rolling get-ups to back lunges. Sit on the ground and rock back. Use extra momentum to rock up into a squat position or a half kneeling position and then rise up to standing. Perform a back lunge on each side. Squat down, sit, rock back, and repeat. Perform one last get up and then we'll meet it standing and transition into a dynamic lateral shuffle. Stay light on the balls of your feet. Slide from side to side. Lower your center of gravity with a wide stance to efficiently change direction. That's time. Now come back to center and set up a wide stance for squat shifting with an overhead reach. Shift your weight to one side, sitting into a deep squat. Pull your hips down and keep your chest up. Rotate through your shoulders and reach overhead with your opposite arm. Shift your weight to the other side and repeat. Now center your weight in your wide stance. We'll move on to tripod get-ups with a shoulder pulse. Plant one hand on the ground in front of you and lock out your arm. Press through your support arm and kick through with your same side leg, transitioning to a tripod position. Keep your support arm locked out and pulse on your shoulder 3 to 5 times. Draw your leg back and return to your wide stance. Lower down to lying on your back. We'll transition to tuck-ups and V-sits. Start with your arms extended overhead, core braced, and legs lifted off the ground. In one dynamic motion, tuck your knees to your chest and sit up. Perform about 5 to 7 tuck-ups and then hold your tuck V-sit for a 10 count. Last few seconds, hold your V-sit. And now bring your feet to the ground, post your hands, and transition into inverted crawling. Spend the next minute alternating between inverted crawling and foot-hand crawling. Crawl forwards, backwards, or laterally. Keep your arms locked out and move your opposite hand and foot with each step. Next, set up a strong half-kneeling position and we'll transition into explosive get-ups. Drive your lead leg into the ground and explosively rise upwards, driving your back knee as you jump. Control your landing and return to a half kneel. Switch sides every 3 to 5 reps. That's time. Now set up a prone pike position for either pike push-ups or diving push-ups. For your pike push-ups, shift your weight forward as you lower the crown of your head to the ground in front of your hands. Don't allow your elbows to flare out excessively. Alternatively, you can transition into a wider stance and perform a diving push-up. Swoop in low to the ground and up into a spinal extension and back. Now lower down to a prone position with your arms and legs extended. We'll move on to arch ups. Lift into an arch position, pause, and repeat. Towards the end of the interval, try to hold one rep for 10 to 15 seconds. That's time. Now press up into a side plank position, either on your straight arm or your forearms, for side plank leg lifts. Work to keep your body aligned in the frontal plane, lift and lower your top leg, switch sides every 5 reps. Now transition from your side plank into side bent sit hip switches. Switch from hip to hip by swinging your back leg forward to generate momentum. For an additional challenge, balance on your glutes and keep your legs lifted. Use your hands to push off the ground and spin from side to side. Stabilize yourself and transition to a squat position. We'll begin working on our crow arm balance. From your squat, plant your hands in front of you. Brace your core and shift your weight forward into your bent arms. Lightly balance your knees on the backs of your arms. Pause for several seconds and return softly to the ground. Now rise up to standing and we'll work on forward jumps with a crawl landing. Time your jump with a lean forward and a swing of your arms to assist the push of your legs. Land softly, immediately transitioning into a foot hand crawl position. Backwards crawl to the start position, stand up and repeat. Next, we'll work on single leg stability. Stand on one leg and hold your balance. Hinge at the hip and touch the ground. Reach across your body to further challenge your stability. Rise up and reach your free leg back across your body as far as you can. Focus on keeping your breathing deep and relaxed and really exploring the limits of your reach. Now switch legs and continue balancing. Next, transition to a wide stance squat. Set up a wide base with your chest up and feet rooted to the ground. Make sure that your arches, knees, and thighs are spiraling open rather than collapsing inward. Sit down into your hips and hold the squat. Avoid any excess movement or fidgeting. Use your deep breathing to remain calm and pull yourself down a little bit deeper into your hips. Transition out of your squat, and next we'll transition into an inversion of your choice, either a headstand or a handstand. Next, transition into a seated pike position where we'll go through some leg lifts and hip lifts. For your leg lifts, place your hands outside your knees. Keep your forward lean as you lift and lower your straight legs 10 times. Now for your hip lifts, place your hands next to your hips, lean forward and press your hips off the ground. Pause and repeat 5 times. Use the remaining time to alternate between these two core strengthening movements. Next, lie on your back and we'll transition to bridge push-ups. Place the soles of your feet on the ground and your hands next to your head, fingers pointing outwards. Bridge your hips and press through your arms to come into a full bridge push-up. Lower down until your shoulders touch the ground and then press back up. Work within your available range of motion and consider elevating your feet as a modification. Now sit up and come into a cross-sit position where we'll work get-ups. Shift your weight forward and press the outer edges of your feet into the ground to stand up. Rise up to standing, rotate 360 degrees to switch your cross legs, and lower back down to the ground. Take one last get up to rise to standing, and we'll move on to split squats. Set up a long stance. Shift your weight forward and lower into an extended split squat. Press back up. Maintain your stance and repeat. Switch your stance and continue on with your split squats for 1 more minute. Step out of your split stance and we'll move on to a combo movement, the sprawl to hip roll. From standing, lower down to a crawl position. Shift your weight to the side and roll across your hips. Come back to your crawl position and dynamically pop up onto your feet and up to standing. Transition out of your next hip roll to a deep knee bend, and we'll move on to lateral shuffle crawling. From that low crouch position, reach your arms to the side, plant and push into the ground as you jump laterally across your body. Next, we'll transition into back rolls. From a sitting position, tuck your chin and look down at your shoulder. With extra momentum, rock back and kick overhead, reaching for the ground behind your head. Use your hands to press into the ground to transition out of the roll, crawl forward, or turn over and set up for the next rep. And now we'll transition into our final movement for today's practice, a crawl rollover transition. From a foot hand crawl position, step one leg across your body. Extend through your hip and reach for the ground to create a stretch. Touch down and roll over to an inverted position. Reach your arm overhead or across your body, roll back over to a foot hand crawl and switch sides. All right, that's time and our workout is complete. Great job. These 30-minute bodyweight workouts are great for supporting general fitness. They're quick and convenient, making them ideal for at-home training, which is so important right now. And they're also a great way to bring balance to other forms of training like lifting and running. So this is a practice you can go through pretty frequently, and that's a great idea because even though these are pretty simple movements, there's still a lot of skill behind them and you will get better with practice. Just make sure that you're giving your body adequate recovery time. All right, that's it for me. I'm out of here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.